Hey, what's up, Arrowheads, and welcome to the Arrow Recap Show here on Collider Video. My name is Ann Campea, and I'm so happy you guys are joining us, and I'm so happy to be back and hosting this episode of Arrow Recap Show with my fellow brothers here. And joining me are Josh Macuga.
Hey, how's everybody? I'm really excited about this episode. I feel like I was the one that liked it the most in this crew by far. I can't wait to talk about it.
And to my left, Mr. Michael Medina.
Hi guys, my name is Michael Alexis. What? No, I'm supposed to be here. I know I'm on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. What? No, I'm supposed to be here with this crew. This is where I belong. And I'm excited to talk about the show.
All right, Goth Michael. And also joining us on my very far left, Mr. Jason Inman.
Well, I want to say that even though there is one woman at this table, I feel we are all brothers together because this episode was all about brothers.
Yes.
And we are Arrow brothers.
Yes.
And for those joining us every week, thank you so much for coming back and joining us to talk about Arrow. This is a show where we talk about all the things we love and some of the things we dislike about the show as well. Take your Twitter questions as well as give our predictions for next week's episode. So tonight's episode was called AWOL, which I think was an appropriate title for tonight's episode. There are a lot of things that were just kind of going crazy. So Jason, thank you so much for filling in as quarterback last week. I think we should start with you in terms of your thoughts on tonight's episode.
Omaha.
Well, I think that the title was a little weird because nobody really went absent without leave in the episode. So they just kind of were like, "I'll throw a military term on top of that."
Coming from a military
well,
man,
as an ex-member of the military too, there were a couple points where I was like, "They're wearing the wrong uniforms," because I actually was near where they were in 2005. So in that exact same year that they were there. But I thought actually that the Diggle moments of this episode were the strongest moments. I feel that they finally cracked the code on how we deal with this sort of villainous Andy and John. Big Belly Burger came back in a big bad way, which is nice. We haven't seen it in like 2 seasons almost. The only little nitpick I have with the brother stuff, I thought there were some great scenes, is that, man, Andy is a real son of a bitch, isn't he? He is.
Can't trust that guy.
And he's got nostrils for days.
Yeah.
They're always flared.
But for me, it kind of makes me rethink how John talked about Andy in season 1. And now I'm kind of feeling that the season 4 stuff doesn't really jive with the season 1 way that John talked with Diggle. But besides that, I thought they killed it. But let's put Andy on some apple boxes. Let's do that.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Michael, do you trust Andy?
I not yet. I'm working towards that. I think it's still a little weird, a little rush that they would just let him stay at their home. It's a little odd. I'm with you on the apple boxes. But I know last week that was the first time we were like, oh wow, they're actually really doing something now.
There were some great scenes last week, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I love this is definitely the best we've seen come from the two brothers. I love the actors. I just think that we just didn't get enough coming from them. So now I'm loving this. It's a fun story, and yeah, can't wait to see where they go.
Yeah, I agree. I think last week and this week, we're finally getting kind of those Diggle-centric episodes that we've been hoping for. It's been 4 seasons since, I think there was one episode where we actually had a whole episode that was dedicated to Diggle. And finally, we're getting a lot more storyline from him. But this thing that they built up between him and his brother has really fallen short for me. It's been pretty weak up until last week's episode and today's episode. So I am happy that we're seeing a lot more of that, discovery between the brotherhood between them. But I don't really trust Andy, to be honest with you guys. I don't like him. He's fishy to me.
Maybe I'm like the guy that goes ahead and trusts people too soon. Like I think I'm that guy. I'm like, he seems like a good guy.
He shook my hand. It's
he stole my credit one time. I didn't see that. But I thought last week, and we talked about it, I was really tired of this whole like Hannibal Lecter, like stuck in this solitary cell kind of thing. I thought it was like a bad use of Andy. But we've talked about it for like the last 6 episodes that we really haven't liked the flashbacks. And this was the first episode where we really got some satisfaction from a flashback. Because we've never seen Andy and Diggle in war at all. We've never seen any of their military backgrounds.
We've seen John in war.
We've seen John, but not them together.
But not them together.
And we see too that it's finally coming together.
Exactly.
Pieces are getting put together.
Yes.
Finally.
Well, to these flashbacks were the first time that we got the I forget his name, the African American Blitzkrieg,
Yes.
who is on the island.
Yeah.
And finally it's just like, oh, finally that story has some importance to it.
Yeah.
But it's because of Diggle's flashback, not Oliver's.
Yeah.
I thought this episode with Diggle and Andy it was an awesome kind of brother moment that we've been waiting for, and it paid off. I hate if they would go back and like make Andy untrustworthy. Like I would like to see him kind of become part of the team. You know, like
really?
Yeah, I really would like that.
Would his codename be Spartan Jr.?
Little Spartan?
Half a Spartan.
Little Sparty?
Half a Spartan.
Half a Spartan.
But I think with the events that are happening between Andy and his brother and them kind of growing closer and some sort of feel of redemption with Andy, it adds another name to the list of who is potentially in that grave. And I know, I know the laundry list is very long, and we know from last week, and I wasn't here to talk with you guys, but I did watch the episode. It was fantastic, is that Felicity is not the one in the grave. But we were joking around during the break, like, with every episode, it kind of gives you an inclination to who potentially is in the grave and who is not in the grave. Yeah. And I know we'll get to that, but let's go into, some of the highlights of tonight's episode. I know that there was a lot of Felicity, there was a lot of Diggle. So what did you guys enjoy about tonight's episode?
Brotherhood, obviously, I know we talked a lot about that already. That was really well done. I really loved Amanda Waller. I don't know how much is she done? Do we know? If in this world, you have to assume she's dead. But it's like
she's not dead.
Yeah, exactly.
God, I don't know.
It's Amanda Waller.
It's Amanda Waller. She's not dead.
I mean, do we bring in Earth 2 Amanda Waller? Like, I don't know how that works.
Crossover.
That is a possibility now.
I suppose. But we haven't seen enough of her this season, and I'd like to see more. We got to see her. They took her away from me, but she's great. So yeah.
All right, take it easy over there, Medina. Nobody took anything away from you. Okay,
my Cynthia Dye Robinson away from me.
That was one of the more, that scene with Lieutenant. What was his last name? Lieutenant.
Something with a J. Jory.
I like Jolly.
I don't know.
He was violent. He was shooting everybody, and he put a cap in her. But yeah, we saw the head wound, but. I mean, the way you guys talk about it, hell, every time I say somebody's dead, they're alive. I have to eat a mustache chicken parm.
Joyner.
Yeah, Lieutenant Joyner, who, by the way, was in Can't Hardly Wait as Cousin Ron. You guys are welcome. And I loved that scene because it was so far away from like the classic action hero moment where you finally see the villain and you're like, wait, before I shoot you, because I've been waiting this whole movie to shoot you, I'm going to get some dialogue in. He was like, screw it, click.
Yeah.
And did it. And I like that. Because that's real life. That's what would really happen.
Well, I agree with you on that, actually, because a lot of times we do get those throwaway villains, and I guess he kind of was one, but I felt like with a villain like this, there were things that were actually really at stake. Yeah. Because we did not, no one here saw like Amanda Waller getting shot in the head.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I liked about this episode. I thought the action in this episode was really good. I thought Amanda Waller getting shot was really great. I thought the scene where Oliver got trapped in the storage box was really great and how he blew his way out of it. And I thought that this episode also delivered, like, speaking of Amanda Waller and Argus and all that stuff like that, delivered some really cool Easter eggs because Shadowspire, the organization that they were working for, is an organization from the comic books. It's actually from Deathstroke comic books.
Oh, nice.
And Deathstroke fights them, and sometimes Deathstroke works for them. So you can look into that all you want. And then also, when Oliver got trapped in the box, that they were at a Cord Industries warehouse, Blue Beetle
and
reference.
we all said the same thing.
That around.
They keep throwing it around. When's Blue Beetle showing up?
Season 1, I think, right? There's been references.
Know.
Either season 1 or 2, but it's been very early.
They mentioned Cord. Yeah.
What's in the box?
But I thought they delivered, like, there were a lot of fun Easter eggs, and then the action scenes kind of took me through this episode. Like, where I thought other parts were missing, like, it seemed like every 10 minutes we got a really pretty cool action scene. Like, you pointed out the moment, like, we all kind of reacted to it, where Diggle kind of held up his handcuffs and Oliver shot the arrow and broke him in half. And you were like, yeah, that's teamwork.
Yeah, I liked it. It was kind of dope. Like, I know we make fun of a lot of the action scenes sometimes that they're a little too convenient, but that was sweet. And then the one time when he shot straight through the fence, like a chain link fence, that was a cool shot. I really dug that. That was cool.
Yeah, I think it's James Bamford, I think is the name of the stunt choreographer. He's been doing such an excellent job with how he's been setting up these action scenes. And I know I wasn't here last week to talk about it. Some of you didn't like the scene, but I actually liked it where Anarchy had the nunchuck kind of staff thing going on. I personally enjoyed it.
Pool cue broken in 3 with chains in the middle.
So yeah, it's definitely improved throughout the seasons. But yeah, I think the action definitely drove it. I think it could have been a very quiet episode if they just focused on Felicity being in the wheelchair and kind of having to cope with that. And I know some of you expressed your concern that it would just be about that this episode. But you're right, Jason. I think the action really drove the episode.
Like the last thing,
but I called the Arrow HQ not being handicap accessible. Just want to point that out.
we need ramps in here. We said it last week.
Yeah,
you're right. You nailed that. Well, like we all said the same thing when as soon as she wheels over to her pill bottle, we're all like, ugh, is this gonna be Jesse Spano in friggin' Saved by the Bell? I'm so excited. I'm so scared. And I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad it was like more of a hallucination and like a side of, because I don't know if it was the pills per se, because it doesn't really say, but you know, she was in a traumatic accident, so a lot of people talk about after traumatic accidents seeing weird things and experiencing weird things. So the fact that she was experiencing a former phase of Felicity is sort of, you know, something that people have talked about. Now, I know you guys didn't like Goth Felicity, but that was a highlight for me of the episode. Mostly because...
Now, do you have the hots for her? Is that why?
Listen, I like Alt Felicity. She's kind of sexy. But I thought that she added like a weird little thing to this episode that may have been cheesy to some people, but I thought it might have like sort of been kind of necessary because you don't just get paralyzed and go through a traumatic incident and then go right back to work. Yeah. Like there's gonna be aftershocks, and I thought that was kind of like a cool device.
I don't know. To me, Goth Felicity is the Jar Jar Binks of Arrow.
Come on!
Every time she shows up,
How dare
I'm like,
you reference that reptilian man?
But every scene in this episode with her, I was like, what are they doing? And we've leaped into the bad, if you haven't figured this out already.
Yeah.
Like, I just could not stand it. I was like, I understand. Like, I'm totally all right. And I think Felicity deserved to have an episode set around here. I just think that this goth version of her being like, oh, you're not strong. Remember when we were by ourselves? You're not strong. When we have seen Felicity be a very strong character for 4 years now, and to have this hallucination be like, you're not a strong woman, it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
You know, just because she can't walk, she's not strong. Shut up.
I'm gonna fight for the Goth Felicity side over here.
Ann Campea.
Put that
Batting
line
for
down
Goth Felicity. While I was watching it, I was cringing, right? Because it reminded me very much of like a Vampire Diaries episode where Nino Dobrev's character would come back in like 50 different forms. This one I think was appropriate because when I thought about why I disliked it, it was just because it reminded me of that CW feel that they try to give to all of their shows. But would I have figured out what would be better in the place of Goth Felicity? I couldn't figure out what I would put in that place because if I was her, I would be struggling too.
We've seen her once before in the show, right?
Yeah.
When she was like doing the hacking thing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Because it was the episode that we had Felicity
Eye, I think.
flashbacks.
Correct.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
They had to have a medium to display Felicity's struggle with dealing with her, physical impairments. And Goth Felicity, I thought was appropriate. I think it was a little cheesy, but I buy it. I think what disturbed me more, you guys, is the fact that Oliver's reaction to when they were having that conversation and she was kind of looking to the left and talking to somebody else and he kind of just immediately got up and left.
And she said,
that
shut
was
up.
a little odd to me. And the fact that, this is your fiance that is now paralyzed or potentially paralyzed and you're not with her 24/7, that gets to me just a little bit too. But
I think we can all agree that Oliver's not quite normal, right?
No.
Yeah.
And that's just me nitpicking. I mean,
okay.
what do you guys think?
Let me like defend this. Okay, so she's looking off into a weird direction. If you've ever been in a fight with your significant other, they don't always look you in the eye. They kind of like, ugh. And then they're like fighting, and it's in a weird kind of situation. Now, had he walked? Should he walked? No, he shouldn't have walked off. But he there was something about like her screaming like, "Shut up, go walk away." It's like, I got to get out of here. There's a little middle ground there. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. There's just a little middle ground there. I don't know what you want to do. If you're a writer and you're the writer of the show right now, you got to get out of that scene. So what do you do? Like you can't keep sitting there like shaking her, being like, "Felicity, it's gonna be okay." Like,
see, I think intrinsically, Oliver has magical abilities from the island. He sensed Goth Felicity and was like, "I gotta get away." I got to get away. I got to get out of the scene.
I don't know, man. I'm with you, Jason. I really am. I think they missed an opportunity to have her go a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I liked when you didn't see Goth anything. I liked when you just the voices in her head that were just driving her nuts. And one of the things that kind of bugged me is it's like, why rush and fix her by the end of the episode? Why couldn't she? I mean, this is something that's going to go on for a while.
Here's the thing. You guys talked about, and Ann, you brought up the point that you said that you thought this was a great way to establish this. And I agree that she's having problems. She's having stuff. Why not have her be afraid? Because most people, when they come out of a traumatic experience, especially as violent as one as she had, like she was literally had 1,000 bullets shot into her. Say she goes back to the Arrow Cave, and immediately Oliver is putting himself being shot at. Yeah. They could have portrayed the same issues, done the same things by having her have a strong aversion to any kind of firearm. That anytime she hears a gunshot over the radio or anything like that, she'd be like, "Oh my god," and go back to her being shot full of bullets in a limo. Yeah. And I think that would have been much stronger. It would have got the same issues across, and we wouldn't have had to endure Goth Felicity.
It came across as being really silly to me.
That's what the entire time. Me too. I was like, "What is happening here?"
Thing.
And also very rushed, right? Like a way for them to just handle the issue in one episode and contain it in this one episode. If we don't see Felicity struggle in next week's episode, I will feel a little disappointed about that. I mean, Laurel's drug problem
I think you're right.
expanded through the whole season. Yeah. We saw Laurel struggle with drugs for an entire season, and then we see Felicity struggle with this new impairment in one episode. That's a little weird to me.
Agree.
You know what, though? We could have had like a really cool stylistically directed episode with Goth Felicity. Right?
Agree.
Instead of her just like showing up and be like, you could have written that a little bit better. You could have directed that better. You could have graphically designed that a little bit better. I think it was, as much as I liked my Goth Felicity, I think they could have done it a lot better.
I also think that it might have been a case of putting too much in this episode, because to me, I would like this episode a lot more if it wasn't for the Goth Felicity stuff.
So maybe more Goth next time?
What if the next episode, what if they didn't have Goth Felicity in this episode at all, and the next episode, the flashbacks were another flashback with Goth Felicity kind of paralleling her current situation? Then you get the best of both worlds.
And that'd be a smart way to actually use the
flashbacks.
And
using Goth Felicity to make, to use the issue.
Yeah, that's
but you could tell they went into this episode being like, okay, we've got to fix Felicity, and we've got to have the flashbacks be about the Diggle brothers. And I kind of think maybe they should have just held off on Felicity for this episode and just focus on the Diggles.
We should wait a bit to fix Felicity. Like she can't be fixed right away.
We almost probably shouldn't have even seen her this episode, except for like one or two scenes.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Like trying to survive without Felicity.
Yeah.
Like that, which was a really cool moment in the show, was when Diggle was like, I remember talking to Felicity about this. So if I switch this thing back into here, I can like broadcast it to this. That was a cool moment in the show for Diggle.
And stuff like that, if the rest of the members of the team of this episode, in the very next episode, when she did finally come back, they'd be kind of like, oh yeah, we did all these workarounds without you. And then she'd have to deal with like, oh, they know how to do this without me now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So did anyone have any reaction to the Oracle reference in tonight's episode?
I think we joked around.
We joked about it. Like we're like, the name's already taken, and it's like, what? Not in this universe.
Yeah, they did. They kind of touched on it, and that was it, right?
Do we like her new name, Overwatch?
I mean, it's
what do we think?
Good as you can get. Personally, I like Hot Wheels.
Hot
Wheels is pretty funny.
I still like Admin.
It was epic. Dude, I'm a huge fan of Admin. I think Admin is awesome because it's not super like Overwatch is so superhero-y and comic booky, right?
Yeah.
But Admin is like somewhere in the middle. Like, what would Admin do? What would Admin do? Admin, it sounds awesome. And then Oracle, I agree. It's been taken. It's just like it is what it is.
You can't call her Oracle. I get it. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't established. I think it was more of like an Easter egg, as they call it, of like okay, not in this universe yet, but eventually somewhere it is.
But we see who she's taking on next week.
The Calculator
episode,
and in the trailer is the Calculator, who is the nemesis of Oracle.
There it is. And also a TI-83 Texas Instrument
I was going to say,
Interesting.
for those of you that are
Square
like
root, square
13
root.
and under, a calculator is actually that device where you can calculate math and
If
stuff.
you guys took Chicago math
Yeah.
in grade school, TI-83, you could save all the cheat codes. All
I don't
right
know
in
that
there.
anyone uses that.
There's no way that TI-83 exists. If there's anybody that is watching this show right now,
Mail it in right now.
nail it in. No, if you're in school or something and you use a TI-83 calculator, please tell us in the comment section below
Please
because I
tell
would
us.
love it. The nostalgia that lies behind a TI-83 calculator just gets me.
And we can tell you how to program the games on
Yep,
that too, by the
absolutely.
way.
I have another question to throw out to this show. Tonight's episode seemed to be like he had already been established as Spartan before, John Diggle,
Yep.
as his code name. Felicity gave it to him. But tonight's episode, they seem to say it a lot. And so it was the first time that fully registered with me that he's like, oh, he's called Spartan now. Do we have a problem with they've not explained where that nickname comes from? Like, was it an old high school name? And if they have, please let us know in the comments because I honestly don't know. And I looked it up and I couldn't find an answer.
No, I know
Yeah,
you guys
I-
weren't a fan of
I-
me bringing this up when we were watching the show.
no.
But
Uh-oh.
it could be that the writers of Arrow are huge Demolition Man fans. And then they want him to be John Spartan because they love that movie. Simon Phoenix is Damien Dark. Just saying. Just
could
saying.
very-
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden it came out of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
we saw it on the screen and they called him Spartan 3 times.
Yeah,
And
they just, like,
they mentioned
times.
it. Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
like, who's with Spartan? I'm like,
They jammed that down our throats.
They really
I'm
did.
guessing maybe because he's a military guy, like a Spartan. They went with the name.
I could see that. I
You
could
know
see
what
that.
I mean? But you're right. I don't remember
Yeah,
there
yeah.
ever being any explanation.
I have a comment.
Yes,
are we
Ann,
talking
you in the
over
front?
here? I'm sorry.
Could it be that it just looks like a Spartan helmet?
Oh.
Like it very much looks like
He's a big
Spartan
300
helmet.
fan.
Look,
So they're
I
making fun
don't-
of his helmet too.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, remember when they even introduced the helmet, they didn't really give any context
No.
to
No,
it
not
for
at
us.
all.
And
Yeah.
I remember sitting here with you guys saying, when are we going to get that explanation of why that is what it is and why is his costuming the way it is? And we never really got that. Even with the name, I think maybe it's one of those things where they just kind of want to pepper it in and then it just kind of sticks with us and we'll never get the explanation why.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like that. I love that theory that they're naming him after the helmet. So finally, we get some explanation behind the helmet.
I'm fine
And
with that.
I am too.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like I am Sparta kind of thing because it definitely looks like it. Ann Campea coming out with a
Well done.
beauty. Let's go.
I'm well rested into this
We
2016.
already saw
Thank
that.
you
Back in
very
the hot
much.
Nobody
seat and
saw
swinging
it.
for the fences.
Yeah. If
So-
you build it, he will wear it.
I do have a question for you guys because I didn't ask you while we were watching, but how many of us think that Amanda Waller is actually dead?
Do we raise our hands
let's
if
do
she
hands.
is dead?
Yeah, let's do
I'm,
hands.
I'm saying dead.
Okay, that's the dead. Raise your hand if you think she's dead.
I'm gonna go with dead.
How
Okay,
many-
so it's
who
always
thi-
this happens.
Yeah.
This half of the
I
table.
feel like
It's the goth Felicity crowd.
that
You
seems
guys
to
are
always
gullible.
be the
I don't
case.
think
So she's not dead.
She's not dead.
Look, my
You
thing has
cannot
always
kill off.
been headshots equal dead, and
But, okay.
we saw the headshot.
The only thing I can think of is that she is in with Lieutenant. What do we say his last name was?
Lieutenant Dan. Let's
Lieutenant
go
Joyner.
with
So that he like had blanks in the gun, like Die Hard 2, and she had like a squib, and like she fell.
I think you're overthinking it. I think you're
might
way
be.
overthinking it.
So
we,
what?
We live in. It could be anything. We live in a universe with nanotechnology, time travel, Lazarus pits, magic, like people from other dimensions. It can be anything. It could literally be like some magical
And are
person
you
just
saying
goes,
this
"Whoop,"
because
and she's
you
away.
know in the comic book she's always around?
My Amanda Waller is to give you a metaphor is Nick Fury for the DC universe.
Okay.
Nick Fury has died like 5 or 6 times in Marvel comic books. Amanda Waller has disappeared like 8 or 9 times. She always comes back.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's not dead.
There's no way you can kill off
She's
a
not.
character like
she's
that.
not dead. Now we might not see her for an entire season. Like we may not see her again until like the middle of season 5. But she's coming back.
Okay.
I mean, Sarah died.
Sarah was
She
dead for the
did.
whole season.
Yeah,
You know,
she
you know.
died for a long time.
She did.
too.
Yeah.
They brought her out like the guy at the beginning of Arachnophobia. She was all sucked in that Lazzy pit.
No, I think the head of this organization, which is basically the shield of the DC universe, she's not dead.
Okay.
Any aversions to like tonight's episode besides what we've already talked about? I think for me, the one thing that I didn't really like was that they had to over-explain that Shadowspire is the one that killed that one guy with the missing eye, with the eyeball falling out of that guy's pocket. I thought that was unnecessary. I think sometimes they underestimate like how intuitive we are as fans, and they don't need to hammer that stuff in. For me, that was the one thing that bothered me of tonight's episode.
Like, one of the coolest moments in Kill Bill 1 and 2 is when she steps on the eyeball and the thing goes through, right? Like, if you drop that eyeball on the ground, somebody better come and step on it.
So you're saying an eyeball on the ground is like Chekhov's gun. You better step on it?
Correct. Thank you, Sarah. Yes.
I thought the opening scene was quite weak. Where it was just like, well, they were on that same street with the overpass that they shoot on so many times.
Every time.
And of course,
is that
like,
where they only have permits?
well,
Like, where-
I don't know. It must be
Probably.
very easy to film at, but like the fact that Lila and John, like it looks quite decrepit and kind of a scene that you will get robbed on.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, this is our nightly stroll.
Just came by this really new hip restaurant.
and then John grabbed onto the guy from the van, so he's riding on the van, and Lila pulls out her weapon and fires at the van that her husband is riding on.
Yep.
And you're like, you're gonna shoot your husband. What are you doing?
It's like it's Starsky and Hutch. She's like, shot him. You're like,
Yeah.
who shot me? You're like, some
Yeah,
five guy.
I thought it was a very, very weak opening scene, and it's the only action scene of tonight that didn't work for me.
All right.
And one thing that kind of bugged me was, and I think we joked around about this, about how Argus looks just like Damien Dark's offices.
Yes.
With the blue
Yes.
lights everywhere. You got the same just paneling that's just there for no real reason.
It's probably Verdant too. Like I feel like
Could
it's
be.
probably that
It probably
nightclub,
is.
some
Yeah.
They
section
keep
of it.
reusing those blue lights every time. Like the individual cell,
Got a good
the
deal.
Damien Dark.
IKEA Canada had a hell of a sale.
Holy cow!
Yep.
They got so many LEDs. I'm with you. Every time they're in someplace shady, it's like too well lit in one lighting pattern. So it's like, it's blue. Oh, they're in bad places. Oh, it's green. It's Arrow's place. Oh, we're good. I don't know. Like I just that totally throws me off every time, because I've never been somewhere that's been so
Like
well
one
lit.
color.
Yeah. This is like a Christmas lighting pageant.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
By the way, before we get to Twitter questions, I want to point out Josh Macuga's Diggle Arrow hybrid jacket that he's wearing. It's pretty awesome. I'm
Pretty
sorry
tough,
I didn't
man. You
call
look
that out
tough.
before. Let's move on to our Twitter questions for this week. Using hashtag Collider Arrow, coming from Mika, who asks 2 questions actually. 1, update on who is in the grave, and 2, point of view about Overwatch codename. All right.
Who's in the grave? Let's start it out.
Joe, take it.
So excited about this.
Okay, who's in the grave? Let's just go crazy pants this time. I'm just gonna stick with Thea. Let's go with Thea.
You're going with Thea.
I'm just gonna change it up this week.
We both agreed.
No, I
No, I
think,
gotta switch it up.
I still think it's Lance, but let's
Okay.
let's
All
be,
right.
let's
Yeah,
be
let's
different.
go get weird.
It's Thea.
Okay. Medina.
I'm gonna stick with Mama Smoke, possibly Captain Lance, depending on how they develop that relationship. Now, if is it Andy?
Andy.
Diggle?
Andy Diggle.
If he actually becomes a member of the team, now you got a huge cast. Someone's got to go. It could be him. That's only if he joins the team.
I don't
And,
see.
now,
I don't
Ann,
know.
you weren't here last
I
week.
know. I'm so excited.
I want to maybe hear like a top 5 of your thoughts.
All right.
Ooh,
Okay.
top
Okay.
5.
I watched last
Because-
I watched last week's whack. It's
Too bad Goth Felicity's not gonna be number 1.
Yeah.
If the showrunners have balls, it will be Diggle. Okay.
Ooh.
Because Felicity's
Okay.
reaction and Barry being at the funeral both drive me to that conclusion.
Okay.
If they don't have the cojones to do that, then it will be Mama Smoke. Because she's an expendable character. We care about her, kind of. It would make sense for Barry to be there because he cares for Felicity, kind of thing. After
3.
tonight's episode, here's the cluster in my mind. What if it's Felicity in the grave and there's some weird time travel thing happening and Felicity witnesses that she
We've
is going
talked
to
about this
die?
before.
We did.
Yeah,
And
we talked about this
Felicity's
before.
like, you have to kill Damien Dark because he's going to kill me if you don't. And maybe it's still Felicity in the grave and there's some weird crossover.
So we're
because
still doing some,
they
like,
did
time
mention
travel
that
stuff.
time travel stuff going
Crossover
on.
time travel.
Yes. That will screw up this whole weird timeline.
You just really messed with my head right there.
It's
no.
like,
I feel like I just ordered a steak and they brought me chicken. And they're like, it tastes just as good.
Josh.
Well, I'm sticking to my guns like I've since the beginning. It's Lance in the grave. Okay. Now Lance didn't make an appearance in this entire episode. You mentioned Thea, and I know we went. Thea hasn't really done much in the series since the Lazarus Pit
Which
episode
to me
was like halfway.
would make her a prime candidate to be killed off.
Right. And if you guys are watching Flash, which I'm sure everybody that's watching this show watches Flash, is Pivot left. Or Spivot. Patty Spivot left. So maybe there's like a Flash Thea love connection. I don't know. Roy's coming back. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking why Flash would show up.
The funny thing about it is that the interesting clue about this whole scene, or what we know so far, is that it's Barry. Barry is the one thing in this. Yes. Like, okay, if the Flash,
why is he there?
Why is the Flash there? So to me, no matter who it is, if it's Mama Smoke or whatever, whoever's in that grave must either do something heroic. Or just completely blindsided by Damien Dark so much that it just destroys Team Arrow, and that makes Flash be like, I gotta help out to my buddy. You know,
and I gotta assume that whatever goes down is going to take place during a crossover because it's got to involve that cast for Barry to even like want to come to the grave. Right. So I think when we know something's coming up, you know that it's about to go down.
And I know we talked about this a little bit last week too, Ann, that we talked about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Where do we think in this season that scene takes place? Because we kind of all came to the consensus that it would be awesome if that scene is the last moment of the penultimate episode, so that the season finale is them going after Dark, just being like really angry.
I kind of liked Macuga's theory that this would be the finale episode. And Damien Dark would kind of drive next season in terms of being that big bad villain.
Man, I'm so done with Dark though. I don't want another scene of Dark. Another season of Dark.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm done with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring Deathstroke back. I think the Mel wants Deathstroke back. Let's do that.
Grow my Deathstroke beard out.
There you go.
There's always Tebow Jr. Could be Deathstroke Jr.
No way. Do you think they'll keep?
There is a Deathstroke son that's in this universe. He's already been confirmed.
Sunstroke?
Sunstroke, yeah.
Let's move on to the next Twitter question. Comes from Michael, who asks, with time travel on the show, do you believe Malcolm saved Savage in exchange for saving Tommy in the past? Jason, didn't you just tweet kind of a photo that kind of relates to this question?
I tweeted a photo that was funny because every Thursday I tweet a photo asking for questions with a funny image, and I tweeted this picture of Oliver being like Tommy, and then it was Tommy, and he's like, Lazarus Pit, bro, which I thought was funny. I don't think Tommy's never coming back. I'm sorry. I think my flat out my flat out answer to that Twitter question is a big no.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. I honestly think that Malcolm picked up the ashes of Vandal Savage because we needed to have an idea that Vandal Savage could somehow come back. Do I think we'll ever see the scene where he does come back? No.
Or that he took the ashes like to see what Vandal Savage's powers were.
Something like that,
and
maybe even like control Vandal if possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Or he's just weird and
he's just weird and he likes to put people's ashes on his shelf.
His name's Malcolm. Come on.
I'd like to believe Tommy's coming back. Maybe I'm party of one here. I love
like
Tommy.
Some fan fiction maybe.
Yeah.
Put something together.
Sure, I'll write something, you guys.
Little Tommy web series.
Little Tommy.
I do run my own Tumblr. Tommy is coming back.com.
.tumblr.com.
Next question, please. Comes from Carmela, who asks, what's the possibility of Dig being in the grave after this episode? I think I already gave my thoughts in terms of that would be a very bold move to have Diggle in the grave.
It'd be an amazingly bold
and it
move.
Completely makes sense. Barry's met Diggle. Oliver and Felicity would be torn up, and that's why Felicity would be so angry about it. I don't know that they'll go there, though.
You know, it does worry me a little bit because I feel like with the story arc with him and his brother, I feel like they're really doing a good job of really building up Diggle, maybe more so than ever. And that makes me a little worried that could be the route they're going because of all this.
You know, but I guess this might be a little selfish, but I would hate to go into Arrow Season 5 with no Diggle. Because to me, the thing that made me love this show in the first season was the dynamic duo of Arrow and Diggle. And to kill off Diggle, to me, like, takes away half of the show. Like, to me, it won't be the same show. Like, it will be a very rough season for me to watch, and the show will have a completely different tone.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, like, it'll be a completely different show without Diggle.
Yeah, I don't... I don't think it's Diggle. I would really hate if at some point in the next like 3 or 4 weeks, like Variety posted a thing of like a new casting of a guy and it's Diggle and like a new show. Do you know what I mean? Like not even and spoiling it for Arrow fans. Be like, well, Diggle got cast in a new show. He can't be on Arrow and this show. I have a real problem with it being Diggle. I really don't think it's going to be Diggle. I don't think they'd do that. But if they did do that, would that be like Game of Thrones kind of stuff where you're like, oh my God, they're willing to sacrifice main cast members like no network show really is willing to do.
It would be, but it also has gotten to the point to what for me, when I go to the Game of Thrones road. To me, I'm at this point with Game of Thrones where I'm like, well, what main character do I even like anymore? Right. You know?
Oh, you're right.
Because they've killed them all off.
Yeah.
But I think with a show like Game of Thrones, there's so many strong characters on that show. There aren't that many strong individual characters on this one, so you can't really afford to get rid of one. You know what I mean? So I think
if the show had real balls, it'd be Oliver in that grave.
We all just looked at you like, did you?
All right, I'm leaving now. See you guys later.
Ann and I are out. We've been on the other side of the whole thing. John, when you can close it out, you guys can find me on Twitter.
Too much Inception going on here. I mean, Felicity being in the grave was already a cluster for me. That is crazy.
My name is Oliver Queen. For 5 years, I sat in this grave.
You guys, tell us who you think is in the grave. I love that they are doing this, by the way, you guys, that there is always that question in our minds of who is in the grave, and we continue to speculate and, like gather on Wednesdays and talk about that. I think in terms of predictions, let's go into them. But again, they're doing a fantastic job with this season.
Imagine if at the end of 7, you got an entire season's worth of what's in the box, right? That's what we are dealing with
basically,
right now.
Yeah.
I think we also needed this too because season 3 was pretty weak, and now it's like we always have something to talk about every single week.
It's a great because it's the same thing as the list or the was the Undertaking from season 1.
Yep.
Because as soon as we learned what the Undertaking was, we were like, okay, what the hell is the Undertaking?
Right.
Yeah. And so they've given us this element again that was missing last season, and it works. So look at how much we're talking about this.
Exactly.
Agreed. So predictions, you guys. Let's go, Josh.
For next week or for just for
whatever
next week?
you want.
Like I talked about last week, I don't think we're going to see Dark for a couple weeks. I think he's regrouping, he's figuring out this whole thing because Arrow is focusing so much attention on him that they're continuously obstructed by other villains. I think Roy's gonna come back. I think Roy might be an answer to the Dark thing. We need one more member of the Arrow crew to really take down the Damien Dark thing. I think they're really building towards what's going to be an amazing 3-episode arc of taking down Damien Dark.
Yeah, I agree. I think, all the episodes leading up to, and again, we know how many episodes are in a season, so we know how much they have to fill. And obviously tonight's episode was one of those episodes where you want to see Team Arrow kind of start to grow the cohesion, start to grow that team. There's so many superheroes in this group that are going to inevitably have to face Damien Dark at the end of the season. So I think they're going to continue to grow that story arc and have us, see Canary and Arrow and Diggle or Spartan and potentially Red Arrow and Speedy and all of them come together and kind of grow that group and have something formidable for Damien Dark to face at the end of the season. So Michael?
I fully expect to see Andy maybe take the field. Maybe not like a full-fledged member, but at some point he's going to go through his basic, I'm struggling just to deal with real life. But I think at some point, and maybe towards the end of the episode, they're going to need him. He's going to need to suit up. Not full-fledged member, but just help out somehow. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Nice.
I got some crazy predictions for the next episode.
Uh-oh.
Okay, here you go.
Yes.
If you notice, Amanda Waller was killed.
Yeah.
I think Argus is going to come to Lila and be the new boss. I think she's going to take the job. I think Roy shows up, and I think Roy goes through the whole rigmarole and is like, I don't quite feel like being a vigilante. Lila gives him a job as an Argus agent, which will fit in to what they've done in the comic books before when Roy's become a governmental agent. I think Felicity will face off against the Calculator. They'll do a masterful hacking back and forth, and through that, Calculator will figure out who she is, figure out her relationship to Oliver Queen, and send her an old little email revealing a certain son that somebody has out there.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Is the calculator that
How are you
Tim
not
Tebow
waiting on
dude?
There you go. That's my prediction.
Dude, is the calculator that Tim Tebow looking guy, the campaign manager?
Oh, no, I don't think. I think he's a random red bat. No,
He's a one-up.
no.
Now you're just
Tebow
screwing with me.
Jr.
Is
Tebow
the
Jr.
calculator.
All right, that's going to do it for us, you guys. Let us know who you think is in the grave. Let us know if you think Amanda Waller is dead. Let us know what you thought of tonight's episode, AWOL. And again, make sure to like this video, leave us a comment under the comments section, and tweet us at #ColliderArrow. And Jason, let's start with you. Where can people follow if they want to talk more about Arrow?
Sure, I love talking Arrow on the internet. You can find me on Twitter at Jawin, Jawin, Instagram with the same spelling, and also youtube.com/Jawin, where I do like Talking Legends Tomorrow and all kinds of stuff like that.
And Michael?
You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Michael Alexis, on Instagram, Mr. Michael Alexis 14. That's Mr. Michael Alexis 14, as well as here in March. Be back for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recap show with Mr. Macuga.
And Macuga.
Oh, guys, I bought this jacket in the Diggle collection at Macy's. It's kind of a big deal.
I wish that was a real thing.
I know.
Diggle collection.
It's a Diggle original.
The purple shirt.
Yeah. You can get a helmet there too. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Josh Macuga and Instagram as well at Josh Macuga with no 14 at the end.
I can't
Love
believe
you,
Michael
buddy.
has an Instagram, by the way.
It's the best.
All right,
And
you
it's
guys
amazing.
You guys can follow me at Ann Campea on all of social media, except for Snapchat, where I'm A Campea. You guys make sure, again, to subscribe to Collider Video, like our video, comment, and tweet us at #ColliderArrow. And until next week's episode, you guys, hood up.